go. Okay, moving on. We do have some guests with us today. So, Brandon Phillips, would you like to introduce your guest, please? But we will introduce them a little bit later. So don't think we forgot you, but just coming down the pike. Did I miss anybody that's not with our speaker or not with the student of the month? Wait, did I miss somebody? Yeah. Okay, great. Couple of announcements. I just want to let you know, I don't know how much everybody knew. Storypalooza, we gave away 2,500 books. So that's a pretty amazing thing that you guys made it happen, our sponsors made it happen. We gave 2 books to each Norman Public School first grader. And one of those books, we had a little challenge getting here. Dennis Matthew was our featured author for this one. I don't know if it's going to pop up there at all, but his book is called Bello Bacello. And our club ordered 1,000 copies of that. And in getting it here from the printing in China, there were some issues with border and customs control. There were some issues with damage at sea. It was kind of a dicey thing. All that to say, this morning we've gotten part of those delivered to our first graders. They do get to take them home. They have been autographed and handed out to our partner schools. Carla Atkinson helped me with that. So those are on their way. They are stamped. I stamped all 1,000 yesterday with the Storypalooza Norman Rotary logo. So just to remind them where it's coming from. And I know that's not why we do it, but it isn't too bad to let them know that here. So anyway, that's in process. They will make it by the end of school. So that's good. Up there, scrolling through, I want to invite you to War Rotary's fundraiser. That is tomorrow. They are having lunch at First United Bank. It's $10 for a hamburger, chips, and a drink. So they've been really good about supporting us. And if you are free for lunch tomorrow and would like a hamburger, please head up to War First United Bank. Barnes & Noble people, sign up, please. I'm going to sound like your angry mother. But we really do need people. I know it's a tough weekend with Mother's Day and all of that, but this is how we are able to give out books and nooks and bikes to our kiddos in Norman Public Schools. This is kind of what helps make it happen. So it's important if you have any time, Saturday or Sunday, that you could give shifts for 2 hours. If you can't do the 2 hours, you can show up 1. That's helpful. So there is a Silent Genius in your email if you need to refer to that. If you just want to come check with me, I can get you plugged in if you need help with that. So, okay. My final announcement is about our all-club picnic, which is going to be Wednesday the 13th. That is something that we have been doing for, well, maybe last year was the first year. It is now an annual event. We invite all of our Norman clubs to join us. We invite Moore, we invite Newcastle, Cleveland County. That's what she said this morning. Yes. So Cleveland County Rotary clubs are invited to join us at this picnic. What's also significant about that is the day that we are launching our companion club. So if you were to stop and think right now, who in your life, age 18 and above, that might want to be a Rotarian, can't be at a new meeting because of school, work, other commitments, it just is impossible to get work in the city, you can't do that. Totally understandable. This club is part of our club. It's just another version of it. And so they're full Rotarian. They will just meet once, maybe twice a month. That's going to be determined and set by the members of that club. So, definitely sort of a meeting type of meeting, and then maybe a service project or a happy hour, however they want it to look. But they're part of us, we're part of them, it's all one club, but it's just a difference in schedules. So if you've got somebody in your life, my daughter's 25, and she's gonna be a member of the companion club. She would like to get more involved in the Norman community, and what a great way to do that. So think about who in your life you could invite May 13th to come check it out. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. You did get the email. The dues amount in that email is incorrect. It's $250, and that would be billed like $20-some odd a month. So hopefully that is also an affordable way for someone to join Norman Rotary. So, okay, any questions? Did I miss any announcements? I think we're full for pancakes for next Friday. Yes?
When is the picnic?
Picnic is May 13th, so 5 to 8. And it's, you've got an email, it's on your and it just flashed up, so, sorry. Yeah. Okay. And it's at Rotary Park. Thank you. Yes, it's at Rotary Park. Okay, so we will be having, I think we're grilling out hamburgers, hot dogs, I'm not sure exactly the plan. That's the other thing, if you were on that committee to help plan that, if you could stay for 10 or 15 minutes after the meeting today, that would be great. I'm not sure we have a meal plan set, so we'd like to touch base about that. Okay, we have other announcements, but we are working on a different time schedule today for those. So we're gonna go ahead and start with our program, and toward the end of our time together today, we will be announcing our students of the year. So hang out with us until then. But for now, Bob, would you like to come and introduce our guest speaker?
It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Michael S. Cookson, MD, MHC, which I had to look up and found out it deals with the business end of healthcare. It's a Master's of Management in Healthcare. He is Professor and Chairman of the Department of Urology. He holds the Donald D. Albers Endowed Chair in Urology and a David Ross Boyd Professorship at the OU College of Medicine. He is also Surgeon-in-Chief at OU's Stephenson Cancer Center. We are in Oklahoma, owing much to his father's military career, it turns out, and postings at Tinker Air Force Base. Eventually, his father did retire here, but he had a couple of years in high school in Oklahoma. And his wife's from Oklahoma, so that helped as well. Dr. Cookson completed his undergraduate degree at OU in 1984 and his medical degree at the OU College of Medicine in 1988. He was previously served on the faculty at the University of Kentucky and at Vanderbilt before returning to OU in 2013 to lead the prostate and urologic cancer team at Stephenson. Dr. Cookson is a national leader in the urologic oncology research area, serving in and heading many of the national professional organizations and certification boards, and has authored over 250 peer-reviewed publications. Please join me in heartily welcoming Dr. Cookson.
Well, if I didn't know that introduction was coming, I could have shortened it a lot for you. But thank you very much for that kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. I really like this opportunity. I'm so happy to see that it's about a 50-50 crowd because, as you'll learn from my talk, men are stubborn and they need some help, maybe a little push, a little nudge to go to the doctor. And so I can talk to some of these guys that maybe don't listen, but I think it's nice to have somebody else listening too. So thank you for that. I have a slide deck. I don't need to do every slide here, but I want to make sure that we can cross the point about early detection. Really applies to many cancers, but also the importance of getting screened so that you don't only find out after you're far along and too symptomatic. So My area of expertise is in prostate urology cancer, so this one is really focused on that. But many of the things that we'll talk about apply to breast cancer. This mic's gonna come in now. Breast cancer, colon cancer, lung cancer screening, risk, etc. But those are some of the key points. Prostate cancer is the #1 cancer in men. It is the most common male cancer. So estimated somewhere between 1 in 4, 1 in 5, 1 in 7 men will get prostate cancer in their lifetime. It is also the second most common killer of men from a lethality standpoint because of the large number. Only lung cancer kills more men. So it's an important cancer. I don't want you to think all cancers are lethal. Many of them are not. And so that's our job, is to figure out if you get detected, which one of those need treatment, and what type of treatment, and which ones can be observed, and who can be done safely like that. But in the last several years, we've noticed an increase in the newly diagnosed population of men, where there's an increase in more advanced cancers. So there was, Joe Biden was diagnosed in his early 80s. He hadn't had a test in about 10 years. You would think that if you're the president and you have all this healthcare stuff around you, somebody might have thrown a blood test in along the way. But when he was detected, it was already in his bones. So that's a problem. We know that there's huge gaps. Some of the recommendations that are out there are really antiquated for how long people live, how healthy people are doing, and so we have to contend with that as well. This is a map showing, that Oklahoma is very high on the risk of cancer incidence as well as death from cancer. And so those red states, this is not a political map, these are really just showing you where cancer is common and where it's lethal. So we lag behind in many ways some of the indicators of good health. It isn't just cancer related, it's heart related, it's eating a couple of vegetables every day, I mean, you name it, and sometimes only Mississippi is below us in terms of how well we're doing or how poorly we're doing. So, we want to make sure that Oklahomans have access to care. Part of this is about the rurality of our state. So much of our population live in areas where there are not doctors, there's not good medical care, and we want to be a resource for that. At the Stephenson, we're building sort of our little satellite areas. We've got one in McAllister, we've got Stephenson here in Norman, we're building a center in Tulsa. So, a little bit about the Cancer Center. It was developed in 2012. We received our NCI designated status, which is only available in 2% of all the cancer systems in the United States. That came in 2017. And then we believe in the next 2 years we'll get comprehensive cancer status. And that means that we truly are taking care of the entire state. So about 1 in 4, 1 in 3 are coming to us currently. And that's come a long way. We're not seeing very many people when we first started. This is a map of Oklahoma. Again, the red is really high death rates from cancer. And you can see that it's not fair, right? Your zip code might determine how long you live in the state. So that's sad. We need to get out there. That's why we are in places like McAllister, moving around and trying to raise awareness. They can't get all their treatments in these small towns, but they can get access to screening. We've got mobile lung cancer moving out into those areas, mobile mammograms, and PSA is pretty easy to do as well as a blood test, which I'll talk about. But again, the fact that about a third of our state is rural, and the death rates in those counties is extremely high, is a problem for us to solve, and part of the reason that we're here doing this. Here's another problem. In Oklahoma, breast cancer and prostate cancer are both very common. They're both potentially lethal, and everything about it from an epidemiologic standpoint is about the same. In Oklahoma, about 70% of the last measure of women who get a mammogram get one, who should get one, get one. That's not great, but it's a lot better than men. Only about a third of men are getting a PSA who are eligible to get screened. So women do a much better job advocating for their health and getting those screening exams. Men are a little bit behind, and so again, I'm glad that this isn't just an all-male audience. to you about the commonality of prostate cancer, the problem we have in Oklahoma. It's really a blood test that can save your life. It used to have to be a physical exam and a blood test, but we figured that now. We can diagnose most of these cancers with simply a blood test as your entry starting point, and then move that towards more diagnostic tests if that initial screening test is abnormal. I'm going to move through some of these just because there is controversy. So about 90% of all initial PSAs are done by a primary care doctor. So we're not super specialists out there seeing them on the front line. And many of the older primary care doctors were kind of taught, well, prostate cancer will never kill you, don't worry about it, you can get screened for it. There's a long story behind that. In the 1980s, late 80s, when they first came out with PSA, everybody got a test. Could have been really old, really young, but too many people got tested. Everyone that got tested got a biopsy. Everyone that got a biopsy got a treatment. Some of the treatments were harmful. So there was a lot of mischief in the medical community, and that carried forward over the next decade as people started figuring out, okay, not everybody needs PSA. Okay, not every cancer needs radical treatments, but all that stuff had to get sorted out. But when you're a primary care physician and you're worried about cholesterol, lipids, weight, heart, and all these things, you might not be up to date on prostate cancer or cancer screening recommendations. And so that is part of some of the research we're doing here in our state. We not only are trying to educate the public, go to county events and churches and things, trying to get them educated, but we're also trying to educate the medical community about what the reality is of prostate cancer and who's the right person to screen. In prostate cancer, there's different forms. So people talk about them like there's rabbits and there's turtles. And sometimes these little barnyard animals, they simply behave. They're just laying there, they're dormant, they're not going to cause you any harm in your lifetime. And others are more aggressive and move quickly, and they need to be treated. So that is part of the complexity of prostate cancer, is that there's not like a one-size-fits-all. The prostate, it's an accessory gland. It sits below the bladder. It makes secretions that are involved in treatment simultaneously, which is for reproduction. So that's its purpose. It's kind of an unusual gland. It gets bigger as men get older, and it responds to the male hormone testosterone. So a lot of men have enlargement of the prostate. They have slight elevations in their blood test, trouble urinating, and that's manageable. And then some of them, they have prostate cancer. And again, it takes more than your primary care doctor to kind of sort that out when it's all said and done. Prostate cancer risk factors include your age. So usually, unless you have a lot of family members or high risk from your genetics, somewhere around age 50 is when you start thinking about getting checked, maybe as early as 45. African American men are more likely. What we do now know, and this is interesting, is that the same genes that are involved with breast cancer are involved with prostate cancer. So when we see people who are at high risk or develop more advanced prostate cancer, we recommend they get these germline testing. If they get the germline testing and they have these mutations like BRCA1 and 2, then 50% of their children would have that too. And so we had many patients who got diagnosed with prostate cancer that's advanced, they get treated, but then they inform their family of their risk. Those family members go on to get screened and save their lives too. So there's a commonality in this inherited component that isn't just prostate cancer. We used to just ask, does your father have it, does your brother have it? Now we ask about lung cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, all these different cancers, and that can trigger a simple blood test to look for germline testing. Blood test is what we really use as our entry. There's different forms of PSA, but the starting point is just regular old PSA, and you look to see if it's elevated for your age or not, and then further testing may be indicated based on that. These are the recommendations from the American Cancer Society. Again, if you're 50, the hard part's going to stop because nobody really knows. Like, if you're 75 and you're really good health, you probably would be just as likely to be a candidate for that. If you have a strong family history, or some of those genetic things that I talked about, you need to start earlier. Same is happening with colon cancer. You've probably seen this in the news, like celebrity gets diagnosed as 42, he has colon cancer, it gets spread. So there is something going on in the environment in addition to our genetics that is some of these cancers are coming at a younger age than we ever thought would be likely. So those people who are kind of behind the ball for screening, but we do need to make sure that if you're having any symptoms, you get checked, especially when you're young. The difference between screening and getting symptom checked, if you're having symptoms, that's not screening. Screening is checking for an asymptomatic condition when it's really early before it becomes a problem. Whereas once you develop trouble urinating, or bone, if you have symptoms from blood in your bowel activity, that is not screening. That's getting checked because you have a symptom. I want to make sure that's clear. So I told you that if you have a blood test that's elevated, that's called PSA. It's a protein in the blood. And then often if you would come to me with that, we would want to repeat that PSA, make sure it wasn't not a lab mistake, and that it's a consistent second finding. The symptoms of prostate are usually those of urination difficulties, which again are also in patients with enlarged prostate. So, just because you're having difficulty urinating doesn't mean you have cancer, but you need somebody to kind of ferret that out for you and check it. I'll move forward here. This is one of the ways that we diagnose it, but before we could do anything like that, these days we do an MRI of your prostate to see if there's a lesion in your prostate, and if there's a lesion, or if your prostate size is not appropriate for that number, that PSA number, that could lead to a biopsy, and the biopsies are done under ultrasound guidance. Again, I mentioned to you that in the United States, most PSA initially, unless you just are educated about it and ask your doctor, are going to be done by your primary care doctor. So you want to make sure if you're in that age group and you want to be screened, you ask them, because it might not be automatic on their panel. This just shows that, again, about a third of men in Oklahoma over the last several years are actually getting screened who are eligible. So we have work to do. It's kind of an uphill battle to get them to come forward and become aware of it. But we think we can do that. This is just a little joke, but men are stubborn, and so we want to make sure that they think about things and come forward. And so sometimes takes a little nudge to do it. They're more than happy to come if it's something to do with functional status, but oftentimes they're not going to be that willing to look out for colon cancer screening, there's lung cancer, and prostate cancer screening. So at Stephenson, we do treat lots of people, second opinions, help people. We also do research. We have things that we do that are not paid for by the government, so we have to go forward and try to raise our own standards for things like awareness, getting people to understand, getting the testing done, navigate them if they don't have insurance, to try to get insurance, because once you get diagnosed, you got to get things done, and if you're uninsured, that's a financial toxicity that we try to avoid, so we have lots of financial navigation built as well. And then we do, in addition to standard care treatments, we do cutting edge treatments. That includes clinical trials and medications, sometimes treatments. We just bought, OU purchased a cyclotron in the future, which could be in the next 5 years. About 50 to 70% of radiation treatments, for example, be administered through, you get a test, it shows on an x-ray that you have these cancer cells, and then you get a radionuclide put into your blood that goes and delivers the payload right to the cancer, instead of like having to treat the whole body or treat just the area. So that's called theranostics, and we're pushing forward with that soon. So again, we think that our job as the NCI designated and fully comprehensive is to provide people in the state. When I first came here, people left the state to get here. They would go to MD Anderson, they would go far away. Now they come here for their care. And so we want to make sure that we have all the treatments available for them when they come. So that's really all I really want to say. If there's anything we can do at the Stephenson to help family members, feel free to reach out to us. I do have another role at the Cancer Center where I can oversee some of the clinics and the physicians there too. That's my weekend job, but we can help navigate you in if there's any problems getting in. There shouldn't be. Patient access and patient experience is very important to us, so we really prioritize that. So with that, I'll be happy to keep you guys hopefully on time and take any questions that you have. There's some questions. Yeah.
It's widely known that your professional success and your international reputation can be traced to your choice of undergraduate major. I wonder if you could confirm.
Yes. So when I was growing up, I was one of 7 kids. We didn't have anybody going to college. My dad, as was mentioned, came to Tinker. We became state residents. I moved to Germany to finish high school, and that was my state residency, and had to pay my way through college. So this was a great place for me to get started, and I did. I got a scholarship in journalism. And that actually worked out well for me. We learned a lot, we do a lot, and a lot of communication stuff's important. So that was a great way for me to get started. And then I went to medical school here, and so my journey began here. I was very happy to be able to come back. When I was looking at chair jobs and running programs, it was pretty uncommon to find a place where you train in a state that needs you and supports you. And so it was a great move for me to come back.
Yeah, I can't say that I missed the digital exam that we used to have. The PSA test is wonderful, but I just can't believe it's a 30% deal. Is that really on us, the patients, or is that really on the doctors? And then one other question, we had a speaker here one time to talk about proton therapy. Is that something that's being done for this?
Yes. So it is a little bit of everything that we're not getting the screening done. I mentioned, some areas of the state have very little screening, and so they need access. There is some on the doctors. We see primary care doctors who don't offer it, don't talk about it, don't understand it. So there's that part of it. And then there's kind of stubbornness. Some men just don't have a primary care doctor, don't even go in for an annual visit. So I think there's blame to go around for all of us. It's not a one size fits all, but I think that the importance is to raise awareness so people understand that is an option for you, and a blood test will not hurt you, and you'll get some hopefully reassurance that you're safe, or if you're not, then you might get further investigated. So I think, there's a lot of work to be done on that. You asked about treatment. So some men who get diagnosed can be monitored on active surveillance, and that's appropriate for low-risk cancers, those poorest of tumors. Other men have more advanced disease. They need more aggressive therapy, surgery, radiation therapy, other things. We even have freezing techniques and some high-frequency ultrasound treatments. Those are all options. Within radiation, there's photon therapy, which is traditional radiation. That's getting a lot better too. We just bought Illinois in the state. It's like this system that dynamically watches everything that moves around, because even the prostate kind of wiggles and moves in your body, but different things move and need targeting. So it does real-time adjustments for the organ as you're getting treated, so that makes it more exact and doesn't end up like radiating an area that you didn't want to get radiated. So that's called adaptive radiation therapy. And then we have proton therapy, Oklahoma City actually has 2. Ours at the Stephenson has been working for many years now. They offer the same treatment. Again, we accept just your insurance. There's no charging on it, so that's nice. And it's a form of treatment for prostate cancer. Historically, prostate cancer radiation used to take 7 weeks. Then they did some studies that showed 4 weeks is as good as 7. And now for some patients, 5 treatments over 2 weeks. So it's gotten a little bit more convenient too. By the way, we have Hope Lodge that's for the whole city, up right across the street from the Stephenson. And if you live more than 30 miles away from our treatment center and you have to come for treatments, could be radiation, could be other treatments, you can stay at the Hope Lodge for free. Yes?
So this is sort of a personal testimony, and I mentioned this to Dr. Cookson earlier. My husband was actually seen in his clinic for the first time 2 days ago. And he's the same lifestyle that you all have
It is odd, when we talk about screening, we're not like thinking, oh, let's go for 85-year-old men and see what we can find, because a lot of them may not have aggressive forms, and we're not trying to find every person in the United States. Yet, you have to be monitoring and playing smart. If your PSA is that high, probably something's wrong. And high-grade cancers can be aggressive, and even within 5 years become lethal. So, there's a lot of art to practice in medicine. It's not just a cookbook.
Can you comment on major advances in the last decade or two for us where we are, and any projection on things that are on the horizon that might take us further?
So one, we've gotten a lot better at who to biopsy and who not to. So some of that is to do with the PSA, but there are also other biomarkers, so fancier versions of PSA that can tell us if they're more likely to have high-grade cancer versus the regular PSA test. Imaging has changed dramatically. Our high Tesla, 3 Tesla magnets can find lesions in the prostate. In the old days, if you did a biopsy and you used an ultrasound, you would know if there's cancer in there. You'd just be targeting the whole gland. Now we can see the lesions often on MRI, so the diagnostic part's gotten a little bit easier and better. And at least a third of men can say, I don't need a biopsy because I don't have cancer. And we only want to biopsy those ones that have been in treatment. So then you move forward with that. Within the treatments, yeah, lots has changed. The problem with prostate cancer is that it can take several years to really find out. So anytime you have a new treatment, you've got to set the clock and follow up on it to see. Our surgeries are more precision guided, so they're robotic and laparoscopic. Our radiation therapy is more precise, as I mentioned. It could be proton or even the adaptive new radiation therapies that we're talking about. Our medications have evolved. So whenever a new drug historically comes out, it's used in the late stages because you have nothing to lose. So let's try this new drug and see if it works. As they find that the drug works, they get moved back in new trials. So it starts with end stage, then moves to metastatic, then more early. So we're looking at newer combinations earlier for those aggressive tumors, because a lot of aggressive tumors, even though we only see them in the prostate, they're elsewhere. And there's microscopic tentacles and bloodstream involvement. So we're using more advanced therapeutics earlier. And then for those patients who unfortunately get diagnosed late, we have lots of ways to put the cancer in remission for years, even sometimes decades. So we never used to see that before either. So medications, and then I mentioned to you some of the precision-based stuff that's coming with theranostics, take an x-ray, see where the cancer is, and then put a drug in to go at the cancer. We also have some of that for genetic defects. Not everybody has those germline defects, but there are tailor-made drugs for if you harbor a mutation on your germline, then there's drugs called PARP inhibitors that can treat that mutation and again extend the length of your life. So lots of things are happening and lots of ways to keep the cancer controlled. But the best thing we can do is catch it early and treat it before it gets out. That's all. Stand up? Yeah. We have 2 people here from OU. Mark's new, so I haven't been. Mark's
Dan is Senior Director of Development at the Stephenson Cancer Center, and Mark Reed, is that pronounced right? Yeah. Mark Reed is a recent addition, and is a longtime Norman resident and senior born and bred.
Yeah. So one of the things that I noticed about coming here, I didn't know a lot about Rotary. I noticed you're service oriented, right? And that's what you guys do, and that's amazing. There's a lot of service to what we do, and that's really why we're here, to be a service to the community, to help people who have cancer specifically today, but in general. I was reading a book, it's called, I don't know if you guys have ever read a book called Greatness. It's really small. It's about, trying to better yourself. And it talks about the difference between success, which is your personal stuff, and greatness, which is really about others and helping leave a legacy and helping others. And so, thank you for inviting me to come here, and thank you for all that you guys do.
I learned a lot from speakers like Dr. Cookson, so thank you. And as a reminder, if y'all need to schedule appointments, do it. Okay. We have our students of the year. Rick McKinney, would you like to come do the honors?
This is a fun part of our job. Real quick, I just want another unsolicited voice for Dr. Cookson. I met him 7 years ago, and he took care of me, and he was amazing, as the entire Stephenson facility is. It's incredible. You do not need to go out of state. You can go to Oklahoma City and get the best. But thank you, Dr. Cookson. While we're talking about older people, you've all heard of AAA, I think. Well, we got AAA up here. We have Addison, we have Andrew, and Aiden. And they are our seniors of the year from Norman High, Norman North, and Dimensions Academy. Real quick, if you're on the Student of the Month committee, would you please stand? We've been at this about 6 months, and we got about 7 people on the committee, and we all evaluate these students. We had a record number of applicants this year, which was really good. But we all evaluate these independently, and it's amazing the results. They are pretty much in line. And so we feel very, very good about the folks we've chosen this year. I would like to, we have a certificate and a scholarship for each of these students. But I'd like to ask each of them just to introduce themselves and their parents or their sponsors. And then just tell us a little bit about what you learned about Rotary and maybe how it's impacted you. I'll start with Addison.
My name is Addison Smith. I'm here with my teacher, Allison Wood, and her baby boy. What I've learned since coming here is that there's still great people in the world that love to give back. And I love that, like really. It's really hard to see people do that in this time of day, but to see so many people here is amazing, really. It motivates me to be better and to give more. And I'm just really happy that I'm able to see this and experience it firsthand. So thank you guys a lot.
Hello, my name is Andrew, and I'm from Illinois High School, and I'm here with my mom today. So for me, what I learned about Rotary Club is really about the 3 pillars of the service, the involvement, as well as the fellowship. And for me, the fellowship really stood out. Listening to the presentations this past month of April, and also today, even prioritizing our mental health. It's been really informative for me, and I think it really shows how much Rotary Club cares about education, and story builds that as well. And so I see this as a group of lifelong learners, and I'm so grateful about this.
Hello again. My name is Aiden O'Hara. I'm a senior at Norman High. I'm going to get to do this right this time. This is my mom, Stephanie. She is so very, very thankful for her being here. Something that I've learned from being in Rotary and just have seen and observed is that you all are so well respected in all the things that you all do, but yet you guys come here and serve something that's bigger than yourself. And so I think that whenever you all come together and celebrate your differences, rather than let them divide you, you guys have achieved so much, like Storypalooza, like groundbreaking events that you guys do, like the pancake breakfast that I've been able to be a part of. But so many great relationships that I have gained from this, and I hope to continue to get to know you all better, and also serve with you all hopefully soon. So thank you, I really appreciate it, and hope you guys have a wonderful day.
We have a certificate, and each of these recipients receives a $1,500 scholarship.
business with intent to go to law school.
Let's give them a big round of applause, please.
I just want to say how proud we are for you guys. It's been amazing getting to know you, and you're welcome back anytime. You have to be 18 to join Rotary, so I mean, you know, here's that. But there's also Rotaract at colleges, if you are looking to stay involved in Rotary somehow. So just a little plug. OU has one. So anyway, we're very proud of them. Thank you for being here today. Thank you to parents and sponsors for being here. I also want to thank our guests, Mark, Don, Becky, and John. So if I left anybody out, I'm sorry. If you're on the picnic committee, please hang around for a few minutes. Otherwise, sign up for Barnes & Noble. Go have a great week. Happy Mother's Day.
I don't want to owe you anything. What is? That's from Andy told me. I owe you nothing for that parking ticket. An $85 parking.
Oh. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You have to make sure I tell Mary.
I'll text her. I'll email her when I get back to the office. Have a great trip. You all going down to?
Yeah, right away.
Have a great happy birthday tomorrow.
Don't say that word.
He was involved in 13, I think, 13 transplants last year. So proud of that.
Can you just call up there and get him?
You know, I called.
Yeah, you're.